Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Haston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we have a JoJo's video. Before we get into this video assumes that you've seen part 1, 2, and a little bit of part 3 and 4, so there are mild spoilers, not too many. But recently, as you may have seen, I've been getting into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The first JoJo to me was a little underwhelming. Jonathan, we'll get more into that and the differences between Joseph and Jonathan, why everybody likes Joseph. But yeah, there's basically gonna be like 3 parts to this. A little bit of part 1 and part 2, basically like Jonathan's arc and the comparison to Jonathan. Part 3, Jojo and Joseph's relationships, and part 4, the cameo. The first Jojo Jonathan was alright, but most of my friends said that the series is an absolute banger after him, and to my surprise, they were really actually right. Joseph Joestar is my all-time favorite JoJo, and we're going to talk about why everybody loves him, as the title says in the thumbnail probably. I may be a bit biased because I love him, but that's the reason you click on this video, to prove why he's awesome or to prove why you dislike him. So I may be a bit biased on this because I'm only going to talk about the reasons why everybody loves him. But if I missed anything, let me know in the comments and throw that in the comments. That being said, if you don't like Joseph Joestar, I recommend keeping it to yourself, because everybody and their mother loves him for one reason or another, and they will definitely get on your case for it. So, from showing up to his own funeral, to his best friend being a German, you know what I'm trying to say, tried not to get like struck down, because you know those history channels were that had the Germans in World War II, not gonna say the trigger word, to cheating on his wife at age 60. Joseph is definitely not like Jonathan at all, or any of the other JoJos. They all have their own thing. This brash characteristic of his makes him one of everybody's favorite characters, and because of this brashness, Joseph Joestar shocked me, especially when you do compare him to the first JoJo Jonathan, because they are nothing alike. The first clip you see of Joseph is straight up decking a corrupted cop and snapping the other's finger with a Coke bottle cap. This shock factor alone sets him apart from every other JoJo, besides a little bit of Jojo, who, like, the first clip you see of him is like shooting himself in the head, but you know, whatever. He's not afraid to do what he thinks is right, and he chooses what punishment they will receive for their crimes or their annoyances or whatever they do to him. So keep in mind, he's done these things, like use Hammond and everything, and is a good fighter without a single day of training. He kicks ass without it. But on the contrary to Jonathan, who has to get his ass kicked over and over and over and over and over again, and then start training to get stronger. And even then, Jonathan is still so naive enough to believe it was his fault that Dio turned out the way Dio did, or that it's his fault that he got beat up. Because for Jonathan, it took Dio poisoning his dad and the convincing of Speedwagon for him to finally realize and get mad enough at Dio and who Dio is, and make him fully believe he was evil. Because even when he died, Jonathan still felt sympathy for Dio. But also on the contrary, again, Joseph is a lot more short-tempered and quick to act in the name of self-defined justice. Facing the Pillarmen, Joseph obviously has to train to get stronger, because they're just so strong. They're just miles above vampires, miles above humans, miles above everything else that's ever been in the series thus far. So the main point of this video is to show why everybody loves Joseph and not shitting on Jonathan. But I think it's important to highlight the differences between the two and the resulting cause of Joseph's popularity, because like I was saying earlier, Jonathan's character is built upon nobility and chivalry, which can make him very naive at times, and it is beyond frustrating. It makes me facepalm when he thinks it's his fault that Dio is Dio. It's not his fault, it's just he's just an evil dude. He was happy when his dad died. I mean, it's just Dio. I do have to say though, Jonathan does redeem himself when he does train and gets older and beats the shit out of Dio and like pretty much every other fight after that. And then he gets pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie, he does get badass, and he is pretty sick. So with the nobility and chivalry, I really don't think people see nobility as like a badass character trait. Obviously it's respectable, but it's not really like, oh my god, it's so badass, I want to be nobilitous and chivalrous, I just want to be that. But on the other side of the coin, Joseph's don't give a shit attitude resonates with a lot more people. He possesses a lot of character traits that people would consider like alpha male, and that resonates with them more than the nobility, the chivalry. Personally, like, this is how I feel like it's almost a personality that Joseph's fans wish they could possess, and I know that's how it is for me, you know. But at the same time, I can't really go beat the shit out of a taxi driver, beat the shit out of a corrupt cop, or pull the strap on some dude in the middle of a busy restaurant in New York. So I mean, I really can't do that, but it's just cool to see. And you don't really see that brashness too much. I say brashness so much, but you don't really see that too much in anime nowadays. It's really a lot of Jonathan, like, oh, I'll forgive you, like Goku does with Frieza all the time. I'll forgive you, I'll forgive you, I'll forgive you. It's fuck with Joseph, and it's pretty much game over. He just will not give a shit. And to complement this badassery, he's also a character. Well, obviously an anime character, but you know what I mean. He's hilarious, especially in part 3, which I will get into later, and I'm sure you all know where that's going if you've seen it. And also, real quick, this is post-editing hasten. After I've already recorded this, I'm editing it. I forgot to mention his ultra secret technique, which they use in part 3 too. The ultimate last Joestar technique. Running away. Just what a guy. He finds different ways to joke around with anybody, friends or foe, oftentimes mocking the enemy by saying what they're going to say before they say it. There are a lot of states in that sentence, but pretty much if you've seen it, you know what I mean. How the hell does he know that? How does he know what they're gonna say? How does he know how to fight before training? How does he hide a Tommy gun and pull 10 grenades in somebody's scarf without them noticing? How does he shoot his cut-off arm into space to send a villain into dark and abysses of space for all of eternity? How does he do that? Well, I guess we could just chalk it up to Joseph being the Joseph we know. And it's kind of lucky, it's ridiculousness, but it's also cool. It's almost like he planned it, but of course he didn't plan the hand thing, because he says this famous line. He is also a tactical mastermind when it comes to fighting. He always finds himself in very tricky situations where there is almost no way he could possibly survive, but most of the time he was planning something all along that we just didn't catch. Besides, again, this famous line. And one last character trait of Joseph's before we really get into it is he truly cares and wants to understand how people feel. Like, I feel like it's not really a trait just for Joseph. I feel like a lot of anime characters have that, and but at the same time, you usually see the badass character like not really show emotions or whatever, and the more noble one not showing these badass traits but actually caring for them. But Joseph combines the two. And for example, when, spoiler alert, when Caesar died, it was truly heart-wrenching to see the badass Joseph break down. And I know I cried when that happened. I was super sad because like Caesar was so badass. I like Caesar a lot. But all of these ridiculous feats, characteristics, and inter-character relationships make Joseph a fun and badass character in part 2 of the JoJo series. Now let's dive into part 3 and let me know if I missed anything from part 2. Part 3 is a different beast entirely. Joseph is now 59 years old. Speedwagon is dead. Arena is dead. Smokey's the first Black Mayor of Georgia. I mean, things have changed. And Joseph is no different. He has definitely changed. So he's not the main character anymore. But a large reason of why people still love and remember him is because of how long he stays in the series, and his cameos are almost like Stan Lee cameos. And he was in all of Stardust Crusaders and even made a cameo in part. Joseph's always being around is a surefire way of people are going to remember him and make an emotional connection to him. Stardust Crusaders obviously has a new Jojo. Joseph's grandson, Jotaro Kujo. Jotaro is as badass as you can get, and video on that coming soon. But a lot of people look up to and respect Jotaro. So when you see an obvious respect from Joseph to Jotaro and Jotaro to Joseph, it amplifies your own respect even more, because Jotaro really does not show a lot of emotion. Like, he is completely like usually cut and dry. But like I said, Joseph is not the main protagonist anymore. Jotaro is. So Jotaro has the flashy new stand who's super strong. It's the strongest in the entire series of JoJo's, what the manga creator said. But the only reason why part 3 could even happen is because of Joseph, because his hermit purple hermit is a utility stand, and it showed them where Dio was so they could go on an adventure to find it. Part 3 is honestly my favorite part so far. I'm watching part 4 right now, and I'm not to the end yet, but I heard it gets really a lot better, but that's not a separate video. But I love part 3. Part 3 is so good. I love it. But in part 3, you get to witness Joseph's fighting experience as well as the comedy that comes with that, because you think Joseph is gonna have this massive impact because of his fighting experience, like versus the sun. And then it also doesn't work out sometimes, but sometimes it really does, like versus the Empress. And it's also cool because you get to see how he developed over time, but unfortunately I don't think he really fought that much from at the end of part 2 to the 50-year time skip, so he's not that much stronger. But you know, but my all-time favorite thing that came from Joseph and the Stardust Crusaders is this. I mean, I don't know why it's so funny to me. It's just so funny. Oh my god! I don't know why. It's just gold. Now we get on to part 4. Part 4 spoilers, beware. Part 4 solidifies the cameo impact of old Joseph, even if they do make him old and senile, which made me kind of sad, because coming from part 2 to part 3, he was super useful. Part 2, he was badass. Part 3, he was still a massive impact. Part 4, now he's so old that everybody makes fun of him. And I know it's probably for the comedy, but it's just like seeing old Joseph made me really realize like how short of time flies, and you're not always gonna be 18, 19, 20 your whole life. It's just gonna fly by. That kind of like made me, it's like a subtle realization, and it makes me want to appreciate everything we have in our lives. We know Joseph enjoyed his life because he cheated on his wife with a 20-year-old when he was like 60, making the protagonist of part 4. My man's a G. So from befriending a German World War II soldier, to cheating on his wife at age 60, to showing up at his own funeral, to his hilarious comedy, his badassness, Joseph Joestar is one of my favorite characters in anime of all time. All of these things made me want to do a video. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments what y'all think. Thank you for watching. More videos coming soon. I'm gonna try to eat and train to look like him. It's not gonna work in 30 days, obviously, but I have until next year for Matsuri anime convention. It's gonna be sick and so fun. I'm gonna try to look like him, but I can't grow like 7 inches. I wish I could, or 6 inches. Half a foot is what they are taller than me. Damn. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Top left is YouTube's recommended video for you. Bottom left is my most recent video. You can subscribe to me in the middle somewhere, I don't know. And as always, catch y'all next time. Peace.